following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
This week on the Defy Life Podcast, we discuss Lashana Lynch briefly assuming the role of 007, dangerous amusement park rides, answer some NBA-related listener questions, and as always, we wrap things up with some trivia. All that and more. Let's get it. Yeah, that's what it is. I guess we gotta do it then. You alright? Chill, pool, money, West Coast. Let's get it. Strap in, let's take a ride. Oh yeah, it's about that time, right? Been waiting all week to get to this. It's finally time to defy life. Let's chop it up, keep it trail, no other way. That's what we do. We might disagree, but it's all love. Guarantee we gon' speak the truth. Yeah, this hit different. My guys with me, now who's with us? Stick around for a few minutes. It's contagious. You'll get it. You downloaded the realest. Don't feel us, forget out. You not rocking with Defy Life, then what's your life about? This ain't the Defy Life. Told you. This is the Shy Life. I'm gonna let this ride out though. This is the Defy Life. This is the Defy Life. Welcome back to the Defy Life Podcast, brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Bud Bottles, home of Bud Bottle and the Bud Freshener. Please visit budbottles.com for your odor eliminating needs. We thank you for listening. You can find the Defy Life Podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, GoDefyLife.com, and everywhere else your favorite podcasts are available. We encourage you to like, share, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating whenever you listen. You can also find us on all social media platforms at GoDefyLife. This is episode 116, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, J.R. Glymph, joined as always by my wonderful co-hosts, Thomas Stevens, Gerald, Hedrick, West Coast J. How's it going today, Pooh?
It's going well, man. I can't complain. Very humid night out here in South Carolina. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Who you telling? I feel like I'm in a sauna. It's crazy.
Right.
Man. Gerald, what's good, sir?
Yo. The real is back. It's 2 for Tuesdays. Hey man, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Man, I stepped out of my car to, my shirt was smoking. Stepped outside of my car to go into Wendy's, and I was like, man, what's that smell? And it was my shirt. My shirt was smoking. I've never seen anything like it, man. I was like, wow, that's incredible, boy. It's hot out here, and right. My auto start is in full workout mode as of today. I can't go no longer without turning it on. But really, man, I'm not in a good mood, man. I'm after you do all the intros, man, come back to me, man. I want to talk about something.
Oh shit. Okay. West Coast J, what's good with you, homie?
Man, I'm over here completely echoing the sentiments. They got the heater on hell. Mother Nature done turned up the heat to hell. I'm pretty sure that's the actual temperature it was today. How you be overcast and still cooking?
Right. Man, yeah, man, it's crazy.
Like what part of the game is this?
Yeah, like first of all, like this is what you go on Facebook or you hear old folks talking, and this is what people start saying. It's the end of times. But did y'all see in India? It was last week. It was the hottest temperature ever recorded on Earth.
No, I did not see that.
It was so hot that trees were just randomly bursting into flames.
Spontaneous botanical combustion.
Even like hotter than like the Sahara and all of that shit?
Yeah, so it was recorded. Now this is recorded, so if there are remote areas in the Sahara that they don't get an actual recording on, that may happen, but it's kind of like, if a tree falls in the forest kind of thing. But the hottest recorded temperature in history. So it was last Wednesday in India. I forgot what city. It was 63 degrees Celsius, which is the equivalent of 145.4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Do people live there?
Yes, there were people recording it. on Facebook.
What? Like, what?
Right. And this week
Whose
it's supposed
idea?
to get up to 68 degrees Celsius, which is the equivalent of 154.4. So, yeah, crazy.
So yeah, the heater is on hell. That's
Right.
what this is officially what they got the heater set at. It's either hell or sun.
Yeah, like my wife took the boys to Taekwondo today, and she got back and she was like, "You feel like taking them to Baskin Robbins?" They said they want ice cream. I was like, "All right, I'll take them." So they just got back from Taekwondo, and Ladanian, my oldest, he got his Taekwondo pants on and he took his shirt off, so he got a wife beater on. So he's like, "Let me just throw something on so we can go." This cat went and throw it on a hoodie. I was like, "Man," I was like, "You go die before we get to Baskin Robbins, man. What's wrong with you?" We going in. You know, kids always got a smart ass mouth and they stupid. So his response, I'm saying we're gonna be inside, and I was like, well, you know, in my head I was like, well, you got to walk to the car, you got to be in this hot ass car before it cool off, but then you got to walk into the building. So I say all that in my head, then I just looked at him and I said, man, don't be an idiot all your life. And I think he got the point. He went and changed shirts. But yeah, man, I didn't want to lose a kid in this heat. But yeah, man, it's hot as hell. Money,
I'm shocked we haven't gotten any news tidbits about people locking their kids in cars.
Oh, I actually saw one the other day.
It's been a couple.
Yeah, I saw one the other day.
It is the season.
This chick locked her kid in the car while she ran into the liquor store.
Oh, wow.
Came back out and cops was waiting on her with the baby in their hand. And she went to reach for the baby, and that kid grabbed her hand and put it behind her back and said, "Nah, you don't need that. You don't need to reach for this baby. You need to put them hands behind your back." Get arrested on the spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did that happen
well
to
deserved.
a Florida woman?
I think it was Florida, actually. Yeah.
All right, then I am no longer surprised.
Right. But yeah, man, it ain't no joke. So everybody stay hydrated, stay cool, and if you got to be outside, man, just don't go put on a hoodie like my dumbass son. So yeah. Speaking of hot, money, what's on your mind?
Hey, man. I don't know, man. I'm confused. I'm disappointed. My feelings are hurt. I'm just not a very happy man right now. I'm not a very happy black man right now. You know, and so the article, like I was just reading through the article before the show started, and it's I feel like we just got to touch on it. But speaking of people getting arrested, this is a story about someone who won't be getting arrested, and it's the officer that chose Eric Gardner in the I Can't Breathe case. The Attorney General today, William Barr, decided to not allow the U.S. Department of Justice to pursue charges against the officer involved. And I just read that shit before the show started, and I'm really emotional. Like, I'm very frustrated. I'm very upset. And, you know, cut out the snake asshole that I know that William Barr is. Trying to put that aside and just look at it from, like, because we all know the U.S. Department of Justice is all about them being able to convict you. They're sitting right now at a 96 point something conviction rate. Right. They don't lose. So you know how the rappers or whatever talk about it, say the feds come and get you. That's real. If you get Fed charges, you going to jail. Yeah. Like right. they do not lose.
Period.
Not placing blame, but there was a big debate because, you know, this happened 5 years ago. So President Obama was in office. Eric Holder, I believe, was his attorney general. And between the attorney general in Washington and the U.S. U.S. assistant attorney, USD, was it USA? US. What is it? United States.
U.S. Attorney?
Yeah, AUSA. Oh yeah, the AUSAs in that district of New York couldn't agree that they were gonna be able to convict on the case, so they didn't want to bring the case forward. So this goes all the way back, 5 years or 4 years ago when it happened, so it was kind of a stalemate between the U.S. Attorney General's office and the AUSA division. I think it was the Southern District of New York that didn't bring the case forward. And of course, that division was headed by Loretta Lynch. So when Eric Holder moved out of his position as Attorney General, Loretta Lynch took his place. And her team actually convinced her that they could win the case. And so she actually gave direction to move forward with charges. So they put a new team in place, a new team of investigators. The feds went out there and they started putting together a case. And then Donald Trump won the presidency and Jeff Sessions became the Attorney General. Mm-hmm. And he had no interest at all in moving the case forward. And so it just kind of sat there. And they were still trying to fight to get the case moved forward and all of that. But Jeff Sessions wasn't having it. And then he got fired or he got quote unquote forced to resign, but we all really know that means he got fired. And then William Barr, took his place as Attorney General, and he has zero interest. I read that he has reviewed the case several times, watched the video several times, and and because it's time, it's reached a time limit for where you need to be able to press certain charges. And so he just made this decision today to not move forward with any charges. So the officer will not be charged at all.
Right. And after they determined that he used an illegal chokehold and a maneuver that is barred by the New York Police Association. So that within itself is bad enough, but it was also declared a homicide by the coroner. So it's just too many things that don't add up to this decision. On top of, as you mentioned, the DOJ deciding that that they recommended charges, and just for William Barr to step in and single-handedly say, "Nope, I got this." So an all-time low.
I'm very frustrated, man. I just feel so badly for his family for there's no recourse, man. I know we talk about this on the show all the time, but if we have officers out there that just feel like they can take a black life without, there's no stopping this, man. There's really no stopping this. The Blue Shield, the Code of the Brotherhood, the protect the badge, protect the shield.
Yeah, and there's no think anymore. They know they can. There's not even I may be able to get away with this. No, they go into it knowing that I will get away with this.
Yeah, and it almost like, there used to be some defense with the smartphones because everybody record, but all this stuff is on camera. It is on camera. Yeah. I just don't get how you go from a store, you go from sitting outside of a store selling a loose cigarette and you end up dead. I don't know. I'm very upset. I'm probably be a terrible host this show. I'm not even. This is one that I knew. Like, this started the whole fucking thing, y'all. Like, this was the case where people actually stood up and said, "Nah, there's something to this. These black folks ain't crazy. It's something to this with these cops out here just killing people." Like, this is the case that actual people stood up and said, "This shit ain't cool." Like, and there was. I can't breathe. Like it. I just.
Yeah, and I don't know, think, man. Like at the first. Think about the first time you saw that video, and if you go back to that point, if someone had told you that of all the people in that video, Eric Garner would pay the ultimate price, and the dude recording it would get more time than the cop. How crazy is that? How fucking crazy is that? So, again, an all-time low. Unfortunately, the world we live in, but we will absolutely use every inch of our platform to talk about every opportunity we can of injustice. And I'll just say it. If y'all don't agree as fellow hosts, let me know, and I may not say it anymore. But if you don't like us speaking the truth, you ain't got to listen. But it's terrible. And again, as Money said, is no recourse for his family. Meanwhile, Daniel Pinateo, the officer, gets desk duty with no gun and no shield, and still gets to accrue pay and pension. So it's a horribly lopsided case.
Very disappointed, man. Very disappointed. So frustrated. Sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to hijack the intro or the top.
No, you good, man.
That thing went heavy on my heart, y'all. Like I'm shaking over here, like, you know.
Yeah, you know, and
that could have been any one of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could have been any one of us. It's not like, you know, you always see these stories like, such and such had a gun, or such and such was a threat. Like, that could have been any one of us walking out the store, or
yeah. But you'll still see and read and hear the comments. You know, well, if he just would have complied, he wouldn't have. So they still find ways to justify it. And when I say they, I mean people whose lives haven't been affected by this. So you're right. Could have been any of us. Could have been any of, you know, anybody out there. Could have been you, your son, your uncle, your father. Could have been anybody. And, you know, if you can find a way to justify taking a human life behind selling Lucy's, is something seriously wrong with you. So, yeah. But yeah, no need to apologize. It's definitely worth talking about. And as we always, you know, get into some house cleaning beforehand. On another sad note, I want to give a quick shout out to Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. We lost a boxing great, one of the most underrated boxers of all time, in my opinion. You know, lost his life at the age of 55, was struck by a car, and died on the scene. You know, I got the chance to meet him, and it was 1997 at the McDonald's All-American game in VA. And one of the most humble, gracious celebrities, athletes in that realm that I've ever met. Really good dude. I just wish he'd taken better care of himself and better care of his body, because his peak as a boxer was so short. I think he's underappreciated. But the man was deadly in the ring. You know, people say, you know, if there's any boxer that could have beaten Floyd Mayweather in their prime, if you matched them up in their primes, I would go with Sweet Pea. He was extremely quick, more powerful than people give him credit for, and a sound technician. He was kind of Floyd before Floyd without all the extra fanfare. So rest in peace to Sweet Pea, man. We lost a good one.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Agreed. Like one of the slickest defensive boxers in history.
Right.
One of the least hit boxers in history.
Yeah. And
so,
was absolutely robbed by in that fight against
Chavez.
Julio Cesar Chavez. He was robbed, even given a draw when he absolutely won that fight. But yeah, so RFE to Sweet Pea. On a brighter note, it's Defy Life Cookout Week, fellas. So again, we are looking forward to the inaugural Defy Life Cookout. So all of our, a good portion of our Defy Life personalities will be there. Those that are on host the podcast, writers, there'll be a good portion of us there. A lot of our patrons will be there, friends and family. So we're looking forward to it. We will make sure that we have plenty of videos and and pictures to share with you. We're excited about it, so it'll be this Saturday. Yeah, so if anybody that's in the Columbia, South Carolina area that's looking to come out and looking to possibly be a patron of Defy Life, or you just like what we're doing, hit us up and we'll get you there. So, and yeah, Kim, I just invited folks to your house. So yeah,
come mess with your boy. Come shimmy up. Come mess with your boy.
Right.
Come meet the real. The real himself will be there. Right.
Yeah. So at the very least, come out and get you something to eat and a Defy Life bracelet and hang with your boy. So, yeah, man. So, also this week, another high note, we got Defy Life Trivia Battleground Championships this week. West Coast Jay, what you feeling like, champ?
I feel good, man. I got the best jab in the business. I'm getting ready to get out there. I'm going to show them what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of moving, a lot of dipping, dodging, diving, ducking, all the et ceteras. It's going to be, I'm going to put on a defensive clinic all on everybody's face.
All right. So, yeah.
Put on a defensive clinic on somebody's face. Like, didn't nobody even stop me from it. Y'all just going to let me talk.
Hey, you a boxer.
I was about to say, man, shut your ass up.
A defensive clinic on somebody's face, though, money. You just going to let that
go. But I ain't make it to the championship, so I ain't feel like I had the place to say that.
Oh, man. Well, if you got to pick out any of your three competitors, you got Brad J. Brown from Brad J. Resumes, Lennon Kim from Anything, Everything, and Nothing.
I'm taking the dual threat Lennon Kim just off top. You can go ahead and just finish that. Nothing against Paul, nothing against Brad J. Brown. Wow. It's two of them.
Wow. Well, so first of all, you just completely disregard Paul. Didn't even let me get his name.
I just said nothing against Paul.
Shout out
nothing against Brad.
Shout out
to the lucky man.
That's the equivalent of saying, no offense, but that's just what you just did to Paul. So Paul, shout out to you, man. Jay just totally disrespect. Didn't even let me get your name out. So
I did. I'm sorry. I hate it. I did.
Oh man. So Lennon Kim, your biggest threat, because they, it's already like right, and it's two women, so they like 4 times smarter than you.
I'm not worried about the women part. I'm worried about the fact it's two of them.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like if it was just one woman, that means she would be twice as smart as you. But it's 2 of them, so they 4 times smarter than you.
I see what you're saying.
All right.
I see what you did there. Hold on, I see what you did there.
So, yeah, you're in trouble. I don't know, man.
I'm going with the champ, though.
Yeah, the champ. So this kind of brings into the question. So since you earned your ride to the championship round, a lot of people would question, Jay, will it be rest or will it be rust? What do you think?
Oh, there's no such thing as ring rust, man.
Oh, okay.
No such thing. Like we stay trivia down 24/7. I eat, sleep, breathe, and sleep again. Trivia.
Hey, Pooh.
I'm here.
You know what West Coast Jay walking around his house saying?
The champ is here.
I started this trivia shit.
Oh.
And just the motherfucking things I get.
Thanks I get.
Hey, I'm rocking with the champ because you the champ until you lose your throne, until someone takes it. So I'm rocking with the champ.
Yeah,
that's me. Well, I'm rocking with the champ too, man.
I'm just rocking for a good game. I'm a host, so I can't take sides, but I will say I'm excited. Brad J. Brown was strong in his episode. Again, Lennon Kim, it's 2 of them, so they are well rounded. And Paul, if it wasn't for he held if it wasn't for a blazing comeback by Josh Staley, Paul would have just wiped them all out. But I like Coach Staley's, the approach he took when it moved into the second round. He started chipping away with those 1-pointers, those 2-pointers, and Brian got his way back in the game. But Paul was clutch and got that last question. That was the last question available. So
the last one.
Paul. But yeah, so it's gonna be fun. So
it's a crazy game. That was a crazy game.
Yeah,
it was nuts. Y'all wild. I've been meaning to tell you that all week. Y'all wild.
Yeah. So I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear how hard the questions are, and then how easy the questions are, all in one sentence. I'm ready to give it. So.
That's how that goes.
Right. But yeah, man. On to the media show. So, a couple news tidbits. I wanted to bring this first thing up because I kind of got into a little back and forth with Regular Scott. Shout out to you, Regular Scott, and with Migs. Shout out to Migs and Movies with Migs on Facebook this week. I posted on GoDefyLife.com. Just a quick shout out, quick announcement that Lashana Lynch had been cast as 007 in the new Bond flick. And, you know, she's not going to be fully taking over. There's a few scenes where she takes over before Daniel Craig, the current 007 James Bond, comes out of retirement and takes his spot back. But she assumes the 007 serial while he's retired. So there is a sort of passing of the torch, although it may not be permanent, but I felt it was shout out worthy because it is historical for not only a woman, but a black woman to assume that role, even if it may be temporary. But I already knew Scott and Miggs' take on that as far as what Scott calls blackwashing characters and what Miggs calls, not giving black characters their black actors their own characters, but essentially taking over for white characters or roles that are traditionally played by white men. So whether that be, a black actor or female actor or both, assuming a traditionally white male played character, I don't see any. I don't see any. I have no gripe with it because that's been happening to black roles since the beginning of time. And I want to, anytime that happens, I want to not acknowledge history and acknowledge that accomplishment by her. So first shout out to me. First shout out to Lashana Lynch for her accomplishment in this. But Pooh, you first. What are your thoughts behind that? Do you feel like it's just a PR move or a way for them to draw in, viewers or create headlines by giving or anointing the 007 role to a black woman?
I definitely can visualize it as a PR move and to draw in even more interest, even though Bond is he's highly decorated, throughout the year, so they won't have any trouble getting people out there. However, I definitely can see it as a PR move because African American lady. Because I remember a few years back where it leaked that it was going to be Idris Elba. Mm-hmm. They were contemplating on making him Bond, and there was this outroar and people out boycotting and XYZ. Because they didn't want the African American, gentleman playing Bond. So I guess it has to be that, I'm looking at the PR and the cleanup because, okay, they bypass Idris and they go ahead and, give it to Lynch, which is African American. However, it's a female. So I guess they're not threatened as much by the female than they are Idris.
I'm very interested in Pooh using this term African American.
Because she's not. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's funny. Yeah.
Why aren't you just saying black?
Black, because that's what I always say.
Yeah.
I just came accustomed to it. Yeah.
It's just ingrained in you to say African American.
Yeah.
But that's the funny thing with that term to me, because while she is black, she's not African American.
Right.
She's British. But to me, that's why I just say black, because we've been kind of like, it's so commonplace. Yeah, and it's just kind of commonplace. When you see a black person, you say African American. We think they're interchangeable. So yeah, it's probably something you don't think about. I don't think about it either until I thought about it.
Right. Until exactly. Right. I didn't think about it until he just brought it up to me, and I was like, "Oh."
I actually think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Yeah, so it's something that I've thought about in the past, which is why I always say black, because they're not interchangeable. And it's funny because I said to Scott, so Money, you bring that up, because I said to Scott, I was like, for one, obviously it's some kind of passing of the torch. Even if it's temporary in the moment, she hasn't been confirmed as the permanent 007 moving forward. And so Scott's retort was, and I also said that it just wouldn't make sense to not give her 007 if it's a passing of the torch. You can't make her 009 or 008. You'd have to totally rebrand the series. So it doesn't make sense for them, regardless of your personal feelings behind, whether it's a PR move or whether it's not. And even if it is a PR move, shit, they got to get people to watch the movie. So everything's a PR move. We can't pick and choose, what kind of PR moves should be effective just because we got our own personal biases. So even if it is, kudos to her. But, Money, do you think it will be a smart move by them? Because Scott says he don't care if she's 004, 005, or 009. They need to give her a different number. Is it that fucking serious to you?
Man, so, because you see a lot of this outrage with the Ariel, however you say the Little Mermaid's name or whatever. Right. So here's my whole take on those type of things. I don't think about it in terms of, for years in history. Like I don't like, so that's more of a secondary level consideration to what I think about. I think about simply this. Fictional characters don't have a color. Like they don't have a race. Like so who cares what the fuck color they are? They're fictional characters. Right. Now if you come in here and you try to, you cast Will Smith as, JFK or right. or Brad Pitt as, Frederick Douglass, then okay, I'm gonna have some things to say about that because those are the actual real people that have, biographies and things of that nature. Like, so, but any fictional character, I don't really care who you cast them as. So we have these like purists that like read the book or whatever and it said this character was whatever. They're still fucking fictional. Right. What difference does it make? Who I want to see? The best actor that can play the part.
Yeah. And on top of that, not only is James Bond a fictional character, obviously she's not going to be James Bond. And two, 007, which she was assigned, is not like it's a number assigned to a fictional character. You get what I'm saying? So there's even a further layer of non-fiction. A fiction to this whole thing where she's just assuming a number assigned to a fictional character.
Right, right. All right. And I totally understand that the special agent is 007. Right. So I can't understand. I can't. I'm definitely cool with that. But quick question, quick pivot. So if Shaft comes out and it's played by Adam Sandler, like you're not gonna view that differently?
Nah, I don't care.
I think it would be, again, I think they would have to rebrand, because I think Shaft's part of Shaft's appeal is that he's a shit talking black dude.
It's true, right?
And so I think they would have to rebrand it. And if there were a black woman Shaft or a white dude Shaft, I wouldn't have this fake rage about it because I want would it be a little awkward?
It'd be weird.
It'd be weird. Yeah.
But I wouldn't go on this rant.
It'll be weird. But it the super agent, it's over the past years, they've been generating a lot of fuss with the women. A lot of women are picking up roles. Salt, I can't even name a lot of them, but it's
Atomic Blonde, yeah.
Right, so they're picking up
Sparrow.
Right. picking up steam, and I think it's extremely cool. Bond is just they're just following the trend right now, and if you don't follow the trend, you get left behind.
Right, and so like West Coast Jay. So me and Miggs got into this discussion on one of the Take a Knees that I was on. I think you were on it with me. When we were talking about this very same topic, in a sense, but we're kind of talking about how Marvel and DC sometimes when they don't stick to the comic books themselves, and they, DC.
Oh, I was on that show.
It was you, Money? Okay. So, and I was telling Miggs, same thing I'm telling him about this. One, if we can get out of our biases and our feelings about, having to be traditionalists around fictional characters and sticking to the script of comic books, as opposed to finding that medium of doing that, but also appealing to the casual fan, the casual comic fan who doesn't give a damn about the books because they haven't read them. They want to be entertained. And so I'd say that in the same sense about this, is they don't make movies for one person who's like traditionalists are a very small niche of any following. So like, there are traditionalists in baseball who wanted baseball to stick to this traditionalist mindset for so long, and baseball got left behind by other sports. That's what's like Pooh just said, that's what's going to happen if you don't allow yourself to be pliable in the culture shift of the world. And so when you don't allow women and minorities and people of color to take on larger roles, even if they are fictional characters who have been traditionally played by white males, you get left behind. Because like Jordan Peele said, shit, I've seen that story before. How many times can you tell the same Bond story from a male macho perspective, which most of those movies are. So Jay, can you see the forward thinking of that is to introduce a black woman, even if it's temporary, even if it is a PR move?
No, first things first, I certainly see a PR move. I certainly see them riding the wave of Black Panther. I see them riding the wave, followed in by Lashana Lynch's last major role. She was in Captain Marvel as Maria Rambeau, and did her thing. Like, had the coldest dogfight. You know what I'm saying? Like, did her thing. But to the traditionalist probably should have died when Ian Fleming died in 1964. Like, the moment that the author actually dies and it's just writers taking over,
right?
Like, at this point, it is now fan fiction. That's really all it is.
True.
So if you're just going to continue with the story, get your, like, I'm not mad at the producers for thinking about the money grab. Because one way or the other, the amount of controversy that this is going to create is going to make people watch it.
Right.
Just so they can go and say either, you know what, I'm not mad at that, or I can't believe they did that, that's awful.
Right. Like, to me, that would be the equivalent of a new Triple X movie coming out. They go from Vin Diesel to Ice Cube, and then they go to, just for throwing a name out there, Zoe Saldana. That's so
right.
or if they were to
But I wouldn't be mad at either one of those.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
No.
So it's
like, the thing
is,
do you go to the movies to be entertained?
Fictional character.
Right. And we're going to be entertained. Are we not entertained? All that actually matters is if she's entertaining, which she has proven she can be on screen.
Right.
That's all that actually matters. Yeah. Now, the 00, the 00 agent is supposed to be the highest level of agent, and 007 is supposed to be the best of them.
Right.
Never once did Ian Fleming, even Sir Ian Fleming himself didn't ever specify it had to be a dude.
Right.
He just wrote the books like that.
Right.
But he never specified that it must be a male that has to be a 00 agent, that has to be a 007.
But that's the whackness of the purists. That's like the whack. Like, I understand purists. I get it. I get it. I see these comic head purists, and they want the movie to be exactly like the fucking comic. And if it's not, they don't like it.
And then they gonna be mad if the movie's only in the theater for 2 weeks because don't nobody like the shit.
Right.
Also, yeah.
So the crazy part is, but the writers of the comics, I mean, they even the heroes have multiple storylines.
Right.
So, and sometimes what the movie does is they just jump through different storylines, or they give you a different. You've got to be able to find enjoyment from, like, so yeah, you know the story, you know how it's, and once again, we talked about this on the Take a Knee show, but Marvel has done a great job of appealing to the purists, you know, of appealing to a new audience while also not pissing off the purists.
Right.
But you know, what are they 10? They're 12 years in, so they've had a lot of practice at it, and so some of these other franchises, you know, they're also trying to ride this wave of kind of like Pooh was saying, they're trying to ride this wave of some of the progressiveness with these roles.
Exactly.
And they're trying to reboot their franchises, but people are still, their purists are still getting upset about stuff that I think kind of Marvel's kind of long crossed that bridge. And so
well,
I just
Marvel also had a different approach from the beginning. Like the Marvel comics featured heavily black characters, black female characters, black, like in the comics from the beginning.
Right.
Like they've been doing that the whole time. Everybody else was like, oh wait, that's working, let me catch up. And then DC shows up with a Black Lightning, with a black with the Black Green Lantern and John Stewart, with the then you start to see characters of color. It's not until you start getting into the 90s when Image made it known that Spawn was a black man. Like, nobody knew that initially. You just sit there looking at this demon dude like, man, that demon dude cape is sick.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you get to issue 3 and it's like, wait, he's black?
Yeah.
Oh,
or
yeah,
Blade.
it's the whole time.
Right.
Like,
yeah, and Blade. Yeah. So, you know,
So,
but that's what, like,
Marvel's
those are very, very one-off movies. I just mean, like, now the general public is having to accept this, and I just think, and let's be real, like, most of the people that watch James Bond back in the 70s and 80s, like, I like them, but the majority of the people that watch them, I mean, these people are probably like, what, 45, 50-year-old white people, you know, these days. So
he was portrayed as a 30 to 40-year-old, 30-something athletic male. That's how he was portrayed.
Right.
So they can relate, right? So they can relate to that character. So, you know, so they're just trying to hold on to some of that nostalgia, and they're, you know, it's fake. Like Jay said, it's fake outrage. Right. You know, if you know what, they don't
outrage.
They don't have to go watch it, but guess what? It's a whole lot of other people that will.
Right, and
without question,
kills me.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, one, it's okay. So, like, as two points. One, like we said, as long as they don't start infringing upon real, actual people who existed, like Money said, if Will Smith ain't playing JFK, or if Tom Cruise ain't playing Martin Luther King, I'm good with that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Tom could probably pull it off though. Tom could probably. No, it's playing.
Hell no. And then two, if we're being real, like, for decades,
Black Panther,
you have had to, like, we are expected to understand why Friends is a good show. We are expected to laugh at Seinfeld. Granted, I love Seinfeld. I love Friends. I love Frasier.
I don't love Friends.
I don't say I love it, but I can watch it. You know, there's funny moments to me. My favorite sitcom of all time, one of is Frasier. Love it. Very few black folks on that show, but we're expected to relate to it, and we're expected to laugh at it and make it must-see TV. But how dare we want to see people of color and black folks in particular, in our case, represented on the screen or on TV, and have a sense of pride in that and expect them to laugh and relate to it. That's my issue with it, is when purists, be it, especially when, and as Scott would say, shots fired. That's what my issue with Scott and Miggs, is that even when our own are calling it whack, that black folks are assuming roles of fictional characters, and then somewhere down the line we say, "Oh yeah, shout out to her." Like when the shout out of the accomplishment has to be forced out of you, I have issue with that, because you're letting your personal bias and this bullshit fake outrage get in the way of you acknowledging somebody's accomplishment. That's my issue with it.
All right, I'm gonna just go with the pure numbers. Pure numbers. Black Panther destroyed the box office.
Right.
You know, destroyed it. Like everything that happened, and as soon as it was the first time we had a predominantly black cast with definitely the top 3 leads all black. Mm-hmm. And we came out in droves. Like everybody did. All of the old comic book heads were like, yo, they finally did it right.
Yeah.
And that's the comic book heads of every as Lynn and Kim like to put it, of all of the different hues, the lighter hues,
right.
The darker hues, every hue. Everybody loved that movie. Like it is thus far has been the only thing that I've heard that's been universally on everybody's top 10. And that was only, 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. And so since then, the people the Hollywood finally noticed. Then there was the Oscars. We're blacking out the Oscars. Mm-hmm. And so Hollywood was like, wait a minute. They might be for real about this. All right, even if it's toss them a bone, let's get them a roll or two. Let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the women's movement.
All right.
Like, that's jumped up Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman. These things are starting to come out, and these are strong women, fictional characters. So for a 00 agent to be...
let's not forget about movies like Get Out and Us.
Yeah, right.
And like, these black folks up in Hollywood doing their thing right now. They're doing their thing right now. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're all good. There's no reason not to be proud that that's what they're doing. Like I said, even if this is them feeling like they're throwing us a bone, I mean, it's long anticipated, long overdue.
Yeah.
For any piece of a table scrap. So who cares?
Right.
And you know what happens. You know what happens once they throw us a bone. You know how
right. You already know we coming back for their whole.
You throw us a bone, we coming back for the whole thing.
Right.
We coming back for the whole thing.
Right. And you know me, like my thing is, like, if we can get like just dope roles and dope movies that include good black actors that don't have to be central to slavery or some black struggle. It's just a black person pulling off a dope role in a dope ass movie that has nothing to do about black culture necessarily, but it just so happens to be a dope ass black actor. I'm all for that shit, because I'm sick of the notion that our history started at slavery. We got to tell all these stories that only revolve around slavery. That's why I think it's dope that this black woman is included in, has been assigned the 007 tag, because it's a role that's traditionally assigned to a white male character. So to me, that's the extremist as opposed to the traditionalist, saying this role can be played by anybody. Anybody can play in this dope ass movie about this dope ass character. Right. Especially a black woman.
Get it?
Yeah.
Now, on the converse of that, though, is what I do like is the trend away from the most recent one that I could think of is Gods of Egypt.
Oh yeah.
Where wasn't a black face.
Everybody was
And that's why it's long overdue.
Even the Egyptians were white.
Even the Egypt, like where Elizabeth Taylor portrayed Cleopatra.
Exactly. Shit,
you know what I'm saying? Where Charlton Heston was Moses.
Right. Shit, 4 years ago was the British white dude played Michael Jackson. Daniel.
That's all I'm saying. Like
right.
I like the fact that this is the direction that it's going in. If they're gonna, I like the fact that they've decided to just be like, fuck it, let's just go the complete opposite direction to see what happens.
Right. Shit. Ben Affleck played a Hispanic dude in Argo.
Right.
You know.
Like this, the only one thus far that seems to have done it right has been James Cameron with the blue people. Just like fucking
right. Everybody gonna be blue. Right.
If everybody blue, it's cool.
Yeah. And even they had a white savior, but
even they had right. But no, I like I don't care if it's a knee jerk reaction. I don't care if it's a whatever. That all that matters to me is that when it happens, the publicity that's gonna come, good and bad, I'm gonna go see whatever it is anyway.
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't seen a Bond movie in the theater since GoldenEye, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too. And again, shit, we've seen that story before. It's hard to get excited about it.
Yeah.
So
straight up.
So it'll be dope to to
shout
see a change
out
of
to you.
Absolutely.
Lashana, shout out to you, and you fine as fuck.
Yeah.
So I think that's our most central theme is salute to the lady for even if it's temporary. That's a huge accomplishment, man. So, shout out to Lashana Lynch.
That's very dope.
Yeah. Our next news tidbit. Did y'all see this? At this point, it's not shocking, but it's just the latest. So I wanted to bring it up to move on to a bigger point. Did y'all see the video about the amusement park ride in India that snapped in half while people were on it?
I did not.
So it's one of those. It's one of those rides that it's like a pendulum swinging, and of course all the riders are in the bottom, in the cart at the bottom of the pendulum, and while it's up at its apex, it's they're up at the highest point. It doesn't go all the way up, but up there, kind of sideways. It snaps in the middle of the arm. It just snaps, and they all go plummeting to the ground. So I think 2 people died, 10 people are injured.
Wow.
Yeah, like crazy. So I mean, we've seen that so many times where either they fell or roller coasters get stuck or come off the tracks or somebody's not secured in tightly and they go, we've seen all that stuff. Chains break, all kind of crazy shit. First of all, quick yes or no. Money, do you ride amusement park rides?
I ride amusement park rides.
Jay, do you?
I love amusement park rides. It's if I can expand on that, it's the fair rides.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to get. I just want to get it quick because I want to know which question I need to ask y'all.
Okay.
So, Jay, do you ride rides at all at amusement parks?
Amusement parks, yes. Fairs, no.
All right.
Pooh? Hey, let me answer.
I answered the same way you did, just way faster.
Right? Yeah. You wrote a paragraph when only a sentence was necessary. Pooh, yes or no? You ride amusement park rides?
Mostly no.
Okay. So, money with that. So I'm assuming that the amusement parks is because it's more stable, more maintenance, don't move around from city to city. They're not temporary things, and is that why?
Yeah, I just feel, and I feel like less accidents. I don't know the statistics, but I feel like less accidents happen at amusement parks than fairs. And yeah, for those very same reasons, like the ride's stable, it's there, it's got a team of engineers, maintenance people. Gotcha. They know what. for the most part, I think they know what they're looking for, what they're looking at. They didn't forget to put a screw in this morning because they forgot to have their coffee and got way too shit-faced last night. Like, I just
right.
like,
yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, there's a definite stigma attached to like fairs as opposed to amusement park, like standalone parks. There's a stigma attached to those fair rides, and like you said, it's just people that are, that happen to know how to maintenance a roller coaster versus somebody who specializes in maintenance in roller coasters.
Right.
So
a dude with a socket wrench versus a dude with a couple PhDs.
Right. So to you first. Why don't you ride them? You said mostly no. What is it? What's the reason you don't? Is it, or it could be y'all? Is it fear based, or is it just I know that anything can happen and you just rather play it safe?
Well, I definitely know anything can happen. I just don't feel secure. Probably because my anxiety is like super high. But it's only like a very, very kiddie ride. Like I rode this small one loop roller coaster in Disney World, Disneyland, whatever it is, with the kids. Like I'm not gonna touch an adult ride. One of them rides that's going 65, 80, 90 miles per hour. I'm not touching it, dude. I'm not even looking at it.
Right.
wow.
So money, why knowing that anything can happen, and if it does happen, it's probably the end for you. Is it the thrill that overrides that knowledge?
I mean, I'm like, like what are the chances? Like, the chances aren't very high that something's gonna happen to you while you're on and I know like it can happen the same way you can get struck by lightning, but like the chances statistically really aren't very high, especially in the United States. So I fly a lot, so I look at it like I kind of look at it as the same thing as like every time I get on the plane, I realize that if something happens, it's a very high probability that I'm not going to make it. Right. Versus like when I feel like if I'm driving in a car and something happens, the chances are more higher that I am going to make it. Just so it just kind of. I just kind of make my peace that, I may never see my family again every time I take off. And, I just go from there. So I think for me, it's just like, but then I also factor out, like, for instance, like, when's the last time a U.S.-based plane has crashed and people had a fatality was like years ago. Like, so it just doesn't happen very often enough for me to like really statistically worry that it's a possibility that it's going to happen to me any more than like those chance freak things that happen, like you get struck by lightning or, it's the 4th of July and people are shooting and the bullet lands on you, like that, all that stuff can happen. It just doesn't happen a lot.
Right. Okay. It's funny because I don't know if this is coincidental, but it kind of broke down by how I think about it. I've always, like, I used to love amusement park rides until I had a family, and I was like, shit, even if it does happen, I got a lot of shit to lose, and those people that I'm responsible for have a lot to lose if something happens to me. So it's just funny how this broke down. This Pooh's the only one who said he doesn't do it, and he's the only one with kids. That's funny.
The first time I rode a roller coaster, I was with my, at the time, 74-year-old grandmother.
That's like...
She hopped on right with me. We hopped a turnstile and got on again.
Yeah, and I'll do it. Like, I'll do it. Like, for one, my kids are smaller, so, in order for them to get on, I have to be on with them sometimes. But the last time we went to Carowinds, what's the money you may know offhand? What's the newest one? The one that's like the fastest in the U.S. at this point, fastest in North America. The new one at Carowinds.
Fury.
The Fury.
Right. I just went this weekend.
But Fury.
Yeah, Fury.
Yeah.
So
I haven't ridden Fury yet.
So we go to get on the Fury, and So, you know, a lot of them have the things that kind of clamp down on your thighs now instead of strap around your waist.
Yeah.
And so the Fury's one of those. And, you know, I've always had big thighs. So my thighs were too big for the thing to come down on. So I was like, shit, son, me and these football thighs got to get off. You want to ride by yourself? So he was like, yeah. So I go back down, and I'm like, yeah, this kid going to ride by himself. My wife, I see her. She's like, where's the thing? I was like, he going to ride by himself. Thing can go over my thighs, so he going to ride. She was like, oh, fuck no. You go get him down now. So she's screaming up to the top to him. He had to hop off. So he gets back down. And when those people took off, they got stuck on the incline. And that, for me, like, money to your point, that shit doesn't happen often. But when it happened in the situation that my son was going to be a part of, that kind of changed my mindset on it. As unlikely as that shit is to happen, like, somebody who had that same thought are included in that 1% every time it happens. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that just kind of changed my mindset on it, to see those people, you know, including the person who took my son's seat, stuck on the incline, the top of that incline for 30 minutes. That's kind of changed my mindset on it. Like, if some shit does happen, that the thrill of it is just not worth it to me anymore. So that's just my take on it. Yeah, but it's weird, man. But shout out to y'all that still do it.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm with the shits. I'm with all of them.
I'm all for it. I'm with Money and I share a bunch of similarities in this answer. Like, I fly a lot. Every time I get on a plane, it is what it is.
Hey, yeah. That's how I feel West Coast. I'll be like, hey, if this bitch go down,
right?
Ain't nobody ever gonna see me again. And
and I guess flying's different to me.
I feel less safe getting in a car with the way people drive around these parts.
Like, I feel different on, like, a plane or in a car. Like, if I'm driving, I do. I've always felt unsafe when somebody else is driving.
So you driving?
But I feel no.
Damn,
but I do. You know, just on the weekends, bullshit time. But nah, you know how us narcissists do. We can do any fucking thing. But if I'm on a plane, I don't feel as unsafe because there's a trained technician, like, in real time in control of that. You get what I'm saying? As opposed to like a roller coaster.
They be up there drunk, slick.
But like,
they be doing all kinds of shit.
They are as bad as the people who come set up. Like, you seen the AT&T commercial where the dude was setting up the amusement park or setting up the fair ride. The wife said, or the mom said, "Is this thing safe?" I mean, he was like, "It's okay.
It's okay."
Yeah.
Well, what happens if something goes wrong? We just pack it up and move to another town.
Right.
But nah, I mean, like, reality speaking, that, like, pilots are not really doing that shit. I mean, there are drunk pilots, like there are drunk drivers in cars, like, but for the most part,
they're not supposed to be. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, like, what I'm saying is, like, it's different for me in a plane, because there's somebody sitting in that seat in real time controlling what happens, as opposed to, like, a roller coaster, who the person who was supposed to have done their job, if they didn't and something's happening, ain't shit they can do about it once it starts happening.
True. That's real.
So, like, it's different for me in a plane because I know that pilot can correct a whole lot of mistakes that may have been made previously to us taking off. So, I don't know. But yeah, I'm with you, Pooh. It's probably all kiddie rides and teacups for me from this point on. Yeah. So
no doubt. And before we get off ride, so I almost spazzed out and dealt with this lifeguard at Carowinds this past weekend. So my daughter's coming down on this little tube, and she slips between the tube, and she's right in front of the security guard. Mm-hmm. I mean, the lifeguard. So, you know, she was in the little hole, and, like, nothing but her body, her butt and torso had slid through the hoop, and her hands and feet were out. So I'm like, yo, and I'm pointing at him, and he's nonchalantly walking. So boom, I took kick out and she's submerged underwater. So I grabbed her, I grabbed the tube, and I was like, dude, what are you doing over here? I'm spazzing and nutting up on him, and then I, commenced to go over there and and nut up on my wife. But like the kids are just, kids not paying attention, man. I don't know what's going on out there. So I didn't feel safe at all out there.
Right, and so that's what I'm saying. But in that moment, there's somebody there, be it you or the dude who's supposed to be doing his job, can cover up for that mistake in the midst of it.
Right.
You 100 feet off the ground, and that thing come off the tracks, and unless Superman happen to be around,
you're done.
And hopefully it ain't a black Superman, because according to Miggs, that shit whack, and he wouldn't be able to save you.
True.
Our black Superman name was Icon. He was a different guy.
Or like that. And going back, that's another gripe I have with that. Like, I don't see how the purist can like something like Brightburn, when it was the obvious ripoff of a Superman story. But I digress.
I mean, not quite. It was closer to the Red Sun story.
Probably hated Brightburn though.
But they were excited to see it.
Oz loved it.
Yeah, Oz loved it. Scott and
I
Miggs
loved it.
I did too. Ozzy did too. The young Killmonger himself.
I didn't even want to see it because, again, it was like, how many times do I want to hear the Superman story? It's the same thing. It's just an evil Superman. Like, it's another Superman riff.
Hey, it was dope though. You need to check it out. It was dope.
I'll take your word for it. But I don't know. Well, we're gonna jump into some listener questions.
Watch.
Our listener questions, huh?
That's what I said. Watch the shit.
Okay. In that case, I'll watch it.
Thank you. That's just 2 hours. Golly.
Right. Yeah. We just promise we won't talk about it, and then you can think I watched it.
True that.
Convincing money. So our listener questions are very NBA centric this week. So it's kind of kill two birds with one stone for us. That we don't have to have a whole another segment about the NBA. We'll get some really good questions about NBA topics. So first of all, James from Lakeland, Florida, wants to know: can Russell Westbrook and James Harden coexist successfully? Money, what do you think?
Start with the kid. I absolutely think that they can coexist and play together. I mean, and play together successfully at a very, very high level. I mean, I saw some of the memes and some of the jokes, and I completely disagree with that stuff. Say what you want to say about James Harden and Russell Westbrook. But I mean, the numbers don't lie. Westbrook's averaged at least 10 assists a game for the last 4 years. He's a very willing passer. And I think, definitely James Harden leads the NBA in shots, but a lot of that is, and I think I said this in the article, but Houston plays that style of basketball. The offense they run is called 7 seconds or less. Like they come across, they get right into their stuff, and D'Antoni wants the ball shot in about 8 seconds. So that's part of their scheme. It's in the NBA now, with some of the success of the Warriors and some of these younger, faster teams. It's all about pace of play. It's an advanced stat now, and teams want to increase possessions. They want to. So part of the way to do that is they're not grinding into the whole 24-second clock. Teams are taking shots at 14, 15 seconds on the clock, getting back down court, doing it again. So you increase your possessions, you increase your offensive explosiveness. So I think Houston would be just fine. When I kind of dig into the numbers of Westbrook's assists and advanced stats there, and the way that Houston runs their offense. And don't forget they still have Eric Gordon. You know, there's going to be plenty of shots to go around in Houston. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun watching them, actually.
All right. Pooh, what do you think?
I absolutely think yes. To echo a lot of the sentiments Money said, they're predicated on get the ball in the air. It's definitely gonna be a lot of shots to go around, and Westbrook and James are gonna take a lot of them. I'll be short and sweet.
Right. Yeah, Jay, what are your thoughts?
Money, answer my question for me again.
All right.
7 seconds or less. Like, those are the 4 words that matter. And the pace that Russell Westbrook moves at, like, it really doesn't even matter who gets the ball out of bounds. It needs to be up court, pass maybe twice. Like, there's no time to set up an offense. Like, that's the one thing that's different between Russ and Chris Paul, is that when Chris Paul came in, you almost got to watch Houston's offense not stagnate per se, but stagnate with regard to the way they were moving.
Yeah, I agree.
And Russ,
it was definitely more deliberate with Chris Paul.
Like, this is the difference between a souped up Charger and a Challenger. Mm-hmm. This is the difference between a Ford Mustang and a Ford GT. Like, Russ is a next level athletic monster freak.
Right. As our man Chab Dog calls him, Russell Athletic.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
fair. Like, Russell Athletic that's beautiful. But I mean, the even if it comes down to now we got to run an offense, like the fact that you have to know where Russ is. Means James isn't getting as many of the double teams that he was facing. Mm-hmm. The pick and roll game now becomes something ruthless because Russ and Steven Adams had a decent pick and roll game. Now Russ and Clint Capella has one of the most subtly beautiful pick and roll screener as the screener games I have ever seen. Yeah. He does some of the most little things to give James just a couple more inches of space to get that shot off.
And he's slick sliding back to he's slick in his release to the hoop.
Slick and getting back to the hoop. And Russ is quick to throw that hoop.
Highly efficient pick and roll players.
Highly efficient. And so the fact that they still have him, yes, they can coexist for exactly, let me think, 47 minutes and 15 seconds of every game. Now, when we get to the last shot, we can talk about that last 45 seconds.
Mm-hmm. And Russ still demands a double team off the pick and roll. Right. So he and for now, one of his options to be James fucking Harden. Oh God. Yeah. So he still has the Capella option. And he still has the Gordon option. But now he gets to add James Harden to one of his options coming off the pick and roll. I think their offense is going to be crazy. I think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I think this is going to look like the Phoenix Suns when Steve Nash was winning MVPs. Like, that's what I think is getting ready to happen with Houston.
Now, I will say Chris Paul is probably the last true. Sorry, Charlotte's got some fire stuff going on. I will say Chris Paul is probably the last true dinosaur of the slow, deliberate, pace, high pick and roll. We saw kind of Derrick Rose with that couple of seasons, elite high pick and roll play, but he started to pick up the pace with it. Mm-hmm. Russell Westbrook takes it to a whole new dimension of what he can do with, and then it's so, like he said, he's so freaky athletic, and I think a lot of people misconstrue that with recklessness. I don't. When you break down his numbers, they don't suggest he's as reckless as what people like to call him. People just don't like that he doesn't win in the playoffs, so they have to knock him for something, right? So I think a lot of that comes from stigmatism.
Yeah, they think that he's just in it for the stats. Like, but I mean, even if you are just in it for the stats, That's a triple double you're averaging for consecutive years. Like, if those are the stats that you're in it for, well, those are all important stats. You need a team that has assists. You need a team that has rebounds. Yeah. You need a team that scores the ball.
Right. Now, if it gets to the point where he's not the only one doing it anymore, I think it becomes less impressive. And I still don't think it's as impressive as when Oscar Robinson did it because, of course, in a slower game, it's harder to get points, rebounds, and assists. But still, in this era, it's damn impressive to average a triple-double.
For consecutive seasons.
Yeah, that's right. For consecutive.
This is actually his third season.
Right, 3 consecutive seasons, especially when nobody else is doing it at all.
Right.
So it's still special.
That's what I'm saying. Whether or not it's impressive to you, nobody else is doing it, bro.
Right. And
so, I don't understand. Sometimes I don't understand these people. What? He's like, you see what he does every night?
And that's my thing is if you're gonna chase stats, even if I don't think he's chasing stats. Like that's his main goal. I think within the confines of him wanting to win, he accumulates those stats. So, but even if you are just a stat chaser, like I said about Antonio Brown, if that's your goal, be successful at it. Don't be a stat chaser. Yeah, like if you're a stat chaser and you averaging 12, 5, and 6, you ain't good at that shit. Find something else to do.
You're not chasing stats good.
Right. So, so even if he were just chasing stats, the man's averaging a triple-double. He's succeeding at chasing. He's catching those stats. He's doing more than
successfully catching stats.
Right. So, I guess my only concern with those two would kind of be what Al said about Kawhi and Paul George is the redundancy of Harden and Russell.
But I think that's fine at the wing. I think it's fine. With the one, especially since they're the 1-2 and the clear cut 1-2.
What I'd say, because I say that because this is a positionless NBA, so there's not necessarily a 1-2 anymore, especially in that offense. It's more centralized around the role that they'll play because they are the two most ball dominant players in the NBA. That's the redundancy that I mean, not necessarily position, but the style and the role that they'll play, because statistically they're the two most ball dominant players in the league. So that's the redundancy that I'm worried about, and not that it'll be an issue, but at some point I think it may rear its ugly head, and it may rear its ugly head in the worst moment possible. So
yeah, I think it's going to happen at the end of games.
Right,
that's the only time.
So they'll have to. So I think that I would agree with you, Jay, and I agree with you for the most part, except with this caveat. Russell Westbrook had to, he's gone through 3 different points in his career where he did a lot of sharing of the ball with Kevin Durant, and then he was the only guy there, so he kind of had to take over this ball dominant role where he basically had the ball and had to make decisions on what to do with it. And then you saw last season, you saw him take another step back to let Paul George take a step forward. So I think he's in his mindset where he understands he's coming to a team that's pretty well established, and he kind of knows that, I think he's already in a place mentally and in his game where he knows he can take a step back and kind of because I think Russell Westbrook's a willing passer. I really do. Oh, yeah. I don't think you can average close to 11 assists a game for this many seasons and not be a willing passer. So I think, but as far as the role is concerned, who's going to take the big shot? I think he was already kind of taking a step back to even Paul George, who we all know is no James Harden. So I think he's already in that place in his head where he can. That I don't think that'll be a problem. And that's just my opinion.
Well, I'll say and I definitely agree with what you're saying, especially about the 3 chapters of his career. But even with that, in every one of those chapters, including last season, he was still the most ball dominant player in the league. So I'm not necessarily speaking upon mindset. I'm speaking upon style of play. And so, like, it's kind of like when a quarterback says, oh, I'm working with a throwing coach and I'm going to change my throwing motion, make it more compact, i.e. Tim Tebow or, Byron Leftwich. But when those bullets start flying, you resort to what you've always done for the last 20 years. So your mindset can be one thing, but your style and your natural tendency to do what you do takes over at some point. And like Jay said, that may happen in the last minute and a half of a game when your intention going in is to, hey, I'm going to take this step back and I'm going to, but at some point you are who you are. So even with him taking an obvious step back and not being as forceful offensively as he's been in the past, even with that step back in mindset, he was still the most ball dominant player in the league last year. So, can he step back even more, or is he willing to, or will Harden be able to, or is he willing to? I think at some point, not saying they won't overall be successful, but I just think at some point, it's only natural to assume that they're gonna bump heads in style of play at some point, and it may cost them in big moments.
So let me ask this, because now so last week we asked a question about the duos, or maybe we save this for another show because this could get long-winded. But I would like to know. So like you said, bump heads in the worst time, and then you talked about being successful for the duos. Let's define their level of success, because everyone can't win the championship. So for two MVPs or two former MVPs, is it championship or they're considered non-successful, in Houston, or for the Lakers, is it championship or non-successful?
Well, I would think so for all of them.
Yes, and yes.
Right. I think
yes, in the Clippers. Yes, right. And all of them. You're right, Jay.
Up to, I would think it's probably about 8 teams that have that mindset right now. Either,
no matter what, every team goes into the league, or every team goes into the season thinking, we're in this for a title. We're in this for a title. No matter what, and if they're not thinking that, then why are you in a professional basketball league? Why are you in a professional league? Yeah. If you don't, at 0-0, at the very least, think, we got a shot at 0-0.
Right.
Now, as the season starts to unfold, then, you know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I mean? Even if it only takes 3 games, when you're just like, oh, this really is that team I was hoping it wasn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's Phoenix and Atlanta ain't thinking they about to win no championship.
Right, but
and Charlotte in there. We ain't thinking we about to win no. So we going to training camp saying the same, party line, and then we're gonna win it. That shit ain't happen.
Well, yeah, but that's I think to Jay's point that
at the very
nobody
least playoffs.
As a fan, you know that shit and you can admit it. As a player or coach or anybody on the inside of that locker room, you're not going into a season thinking, oh, we're gonna suck this year. Not you especially before the season. As an athlete, you just don't think that way.
No, you don't.
So, as a fan, we always know, man, we're going to suck. But as an athlete, that's part of your competitive edge, is thinking that you got a chance to win every time you're out there.
Every time I put this suit on.
Now when it's February and you 12 and 49, then your mindset may change. But when you 0-0 and everybody's 0-0, it's just part of being an athlete.
Still got a shot.
Right. Now, for us to sit here and talk about it, or for fans of any of those particular teams, I think this is the first time in probably the last decade that I think there's 8 teams that we could legitimately say not winning a championship will feel like a disappointment to their fan base.
Yeah, this is speaking to Yosh and his parody. There appears to actually be parody.
Right, and this may change next year, but at least for this year, there is actual parody. At least from what we know right now, when no games have been played. But on paper, there may be parity this year because there is no. Now that again, that may change if DeMarcus Cousins looks like he did 3 years ago after 2 years off an injury. That will change. If Klay Thompson comes back full speed earlier than we think, that may change. But as we sit here now, there are no big threes in the NBA. There's a bunch of really, really good duos with great supporting cast.
Right. So maybe next week let's say we want to tackle that next week.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I'm sure we'd all love to get Al's perspective on the Knicks duo. And
because none of us brought them up.
Right. But yeah, so we'll tackle that next week. But damn good question, James. And again, anytime we go on 20 minutes about your question, it's a really good one. So appreciate it, James. Our next one is from my guy Dre in Atlanta. Shout out to Dre.
Shout out to Dre.
Dre wants to know. Dre? It's a really good question. Requires some thought. So I hope y'all looked at the topics early. Dre wants to know, what attributes from 5 NBA players in history would you take to build the perfect basketball player? Pooh, I'll start with you. Give me 5 attributes from 5 players in history that you take to build the perfect basketball player.
Athleticism of... I know someone's going to say Vince, so I'm going to go Dominique Wilkins.
Okay.
Wow. All right. I'm going to say... just passion, eager to just cut your head off to get the win, of relentlessness of Michael Jordan.
Okay.
All right. That's 2. Okay, I'm gonna go the actual shooting. I'll go ahead and leave y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna go with the shooting of Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And Kevin Durant. I'm gonna go with the defense of, since I've already used Michael, I'll go with the defense of. I know I'll leave Kawhi for y'all. I'll go with the defense of man on man of Dennis Rodman. Okay. And I'll go with the overall IQ of the basketball game of, I'll take your very own Magic Johnson.
Okay. All right. Jay, what say you?
Who took all my answers?
No, dude, stop. For real?
No, not all of them. But you got me with definitely the competitive nature of Michael Jordan. But I want the athleticism of Dr. Julius Erving.
Okay.
I want Magic for his vision. You got to collectivize. I want Kareem for his length.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And then I just want Kobe for a murder. Just for good old-fashioned, passionate, I feel like I could kill you in this game.
Oh, I thought you was going somewhere else with that. Okay.
No, not in real life. Just plain.
I thought you
but I feel like Kobe... Nah, man, that was different. That was different.
Not bad.
Hating on Colorado again, but no, it was Kobe. The only person in today's game. Also, I want on the record that it was 5 players in history, so I went with none of the current players.
Well, no,
anyway,
wow.
Current includes history.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you want to do. But no, what I'm thinking about is the the look that was in Kobe's eyes when it was time was reptilian. Like the Black Mamba was a real serious. That was a great way to call his name because he was.
Well, question to that, where you mentioned that, is it cool? I've always been told that it's not cool to give yourself a nickname. Is it cool that Kobe gave himself the Black Mamba nickname?
Nope. So I'll accept that as the correct answer, but it is relatively accurate, unfortunately.
It is, yeah. I mean,
it's not cool.
Al calls himself narcissist number one. It just happens to be cool and accurate. But
I think Money called Al narcissist number one, and you're still mad about that. But
he's older than me.
That was it. West Coast.
I think that's what happened.
I'm. Excuse me, sir. I am a sociopath. So.
No. Don't be taking
now
lines.
you mad. Now you mad. See how that works? See how that shit works? No, I'm just
taking my lines. But no. When I'm saying the murder, it's the look in his eyes, man. Right. The only person that had that look that I've seen in recent days, and I really wish he would just show me that he's actually who I think he is, but it was Jason Tatum after he dunked on Brown in the playoffs and then didn't make no noise or nothing, just ran up the court with a blank look on his face like a great white shark. Right. I was like, wait, did he just smash him? Like for real smash on Brown and leave?
Right.
Oh, that dude's a murderer. Like he's one of those ones.
Yeah. Well, but that's the only Kobe, like Kobe brought that look in meaningless games in November. Like Jason Tatum did that shit one time, and it's kind of been downhill ever since. Kobe brought that shit every single night,
every day.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like Kobe's murder, but no, I was thinking real hard about Rodman's defense. And so that's why I said Pooh took all my answers. But I figure with Kareem's length, Magic's vision, Dr. J's athleticism, I am going to take the competitive nature of a good old Michael Jordan. And the murder that was in Kobe, I got enough defense there. So, yeah, I guess I got a Magic Dr. Jordan B.
All right. Money, who's your perfect basketball player? Or what is your perfect basketball player?
Wow, these guys, I'm definitely echoing.
By the way, I'm in my head already. I already got a player that's going to like dominate all y'all's players. But go ahead.
Oh, stop it.
I do.
I like I'm echoing some of these guys, through and through. But let's just say, give me the basketball IQ of LeBron James. I really think he's got one of the highest basketball IQs I have ever seen. He just always seems to make the right basketball play. Love him or hate him, he seems to make the right decision. Now, whether you want to, question some other stuff, whatever, but I love his basketball IQ. He always knows where people should be, where everyone's at, and I love that about him. So give me his basketball IQ. My sentiment, I think West Coast Jay and I share that same sentiment about Kobe Bryant. Like that, whatever that sheer, like, I need that. Like whatever we want to call that shit that Kobe got, I need that. I'm gonna separate the competitive nature out of that because I still want the competitive nature of MJ. But I definitely want that. I guess you can call it the
mentality,
the heart, the mentality, the whatever. Like because I don't really. There's no real classification for it. But
I like to call it murder.
The murder. Yeah. All right, I'll take the murder of Kobe. So I'll take give me the physicality, the sheer physical dominance of Shaquille O'Neal. And I want the athleticism of Russ, man. I want the athleticism of Russell Westbrook. Because I already got, I think about blending the athleticism between LeBron and Russ. I think that's tough, man. I think that's tough. And so I'm going to get MJ shooting and Kobe shooting. Yeah, I think I'm covered.
Well, no, you don't get their shooting. You took one attribute from them. So, right. So you waxed, huh?
My guy won't be able to shoot.
Right. So, again.
What you call?
Well,
you
hold on.
You washed.
Hold up.
No takebacks.
No, so if we go with no takebacks, I think I just created Pau Gasol if he was angry.
Right. You did. That's why I said I already got a player that's going to wash all y'all's players. Pooh's player might give me a run, but I don't think he's big enough. But again, give me Shaq's. I'll go with money. It's his size and physical dominance. I'll go with that. Give me Larry Johnson's power. All right. Give me Ray Allen shooting. I'll take Kyrie's ball handling and Michael Jordan's will to win. You give me that, ain't none of y'all stopping.
Nah, Kobe gonna murder that guy.
Mike's will to win, like
we all got Mike's will to win,
right? But that's what I'm saying. but
you don't got murder.
But I put. Did I interrupt y'all's five?
No, my bad.
All you said was ours was whack while we was talking.
But I waited till you was finished. And I told you yours
was talking.
No, after you finished and before money went, I said I already know a guy who can beat y'all. So
y'all crazy, man.
Go through yours again. Go through yours again.
I got good though.
Yeah, that's what I said. Pooh's guy might give me a run. I'll go with Shaq's physical dominance. Larry Johnson's sheer power. Ray Allen shooting. Kyrie's ball handling. And Michael Jordan's will to win.
All right, if we playing 2-on-2, it's me and Pooh again.
Now, what I say now, with that, my because like near misses for me were LeBron's IQ. And Hakeem Olajuwon's footwork. But like Kobe's murder, as you call it, also got him in trouble more often than Michael Jordan's will to win got him in trouble.
Murder.
You're right. Like there were times when Kobe's ego was bigger than his murder. We all know that. Like there were times.
But like Kobe, you said, we ain't taking that part.
I know. Listen to what I'm saying. If there's something, listen. If something else in you can overtake your biggest strength, how strong is it?
I don't think that's the same point, though.
Yes, it is. Like
if there's something, we wasn't
taking one part of everything.
You said we're taking one part.
Right, and I'm saying for me. Now, y'all can have that whack-ass murder if you want to. I'm saying for me, this is my reasoning, is that if there's something in you that can trump your strongest attribute, how strong is your strongest attribute? There was never a time we could question whether anything was going to derail Michael Jordan's will to win. He didn't refuse to shoot because he wanted to throw a pity party. He didn't ball hog because he wanted to throw a pity party. His will to win always led him in the right direction of doing what was best for the team. Even if that meant scoring 70, he knew that's what it was going to take for his team to win. Kobe didn't always do that. Kobe always made it about him in big times. Well, I ain't going to say always. Many times he did. And it overrode his murder.
And I ain't never seen nothing override Kobe's murder.
All right, I got a real simple question then with regard to this one question. Mm-hmm. So if we're building a perfect basketball player, are we building a perfect one-on-one player or a perfect team player?
I don't know. That wasn't in the question. I'll reach back out the Dre. All I'm saying is that me and Pooh
All right,
players.
Dre, I built the team player.
Me and Pooh players is watching y'all's players right now. Because y'all can't shoot.
Team player.
No doubt. Y'all ain't got no J.
Y'all ain't got no shot. You got a role player. You got a really good role player.
Man, y'all talking.
Hey Pooh. If the dude could only play defense and pass. Right, they got James Posey.
I created a real long Andre Iguodala. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all got Trevor Ariza. That's your player. It's Trevor Ariza. James Posey. Eddie Jones. That's who your player is. Both of y'all. He can't dribble, can't shoot, but he can play defense, and he's really smart. That's Dan Murray.
AJ, he got murder.
He got murder.
He got murder.
He's got a 99 in murder.
Yep. A 99.
That kid's scouting reports say he tries really hard and he's gotten murder. Like that's they got a bunch of role players. I'm looking at your bench right now, like Larry Johnson. And I'm saying, hey, you need to get you some men. That's all I'm saying to y'all. Me and Pooh looking at y'all like y'all need to get y'all some men.
You got Vinny Microwave Johnson on the bench.
No, because Vinny can shoot. Vinny can shoot.
You right.
Hey, money, they hating.
Hey, they hating big time.
I'm saying, really though, y'all ain't got no shooting, no ball handling, no nothing.
Nothing.
Y'all got murder.
Just murder.
The dude just tried really hard, and he want to win.
He had there dribbling off his foot, shooting his shit off the backboard. Murder.
Hey,
murder.
This is cruddy.
I'm saying the kid playing 2 minutes a game, but every night he like, but I really wanted it.
Right. Murder.
Murder. Yeah. I'm a soldier. Murder.
Yo, wow, man.
That kid got Ja Rule playing for every home game, but don't never get to play. Hey,
murder.
That's all good.
At least two of us gave you a player that could
My guy got murder. My guy got murder. That's how you gonna say it.
Got murder.
That kid gonna be 9 for 37. And you gonna be like, nah, but the kid had murder all game. Though.
Yeah,
his murder was on point.
See, this is where I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with you right here. There's a reason why I chose Kareem's length.
That kid is gonna be long.
A reason why I chose. Doesn't matter. The skyhook could be hit from anywhere.
That's not what you chose. You chose.
I chose Kareem's length.
Right.
The reason why the skyhook was effective was because of Kareem's length.
No, that was not. There's a lot of Kareem not the longest player in the history of the league.
All right, Jay. Okay. All right. Narcissist 2, I got you.
No, what? Just because you chose a whack player, don't get mad at me.
I can't give you that, West Coast.
Yeah, right. The length and I'm the
only one chose the dude who scored more points than everybody else on the list.
But you didn't choose his scoring. You chose his length.
Right, and that's why, because I was going to say,
right. Don't get mad at me. Now, good thing Pooh is your GM, because you suck at a GM right now. You done chose a dude with length over a dude who actually score.
And see, that's why, because I thought about KD's length, and I was like, you know what? Let me get the shooting, because I knew the two attributes. Yeah. All right. So Jay, I can't go with you, West Coast.
You don't get that whole player. You get one attribute from that player. That's the question.
All right. See,
sure. All right.
I see where you're coming from
and
with
that's
that.
What makes it harder.
I want it on the record that the reason why I said length and nothing else was because of the skyhook.
Hey, but
that's the reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I can go back. Yeah, but
I should have said that. It's fair.
Because of the skyhook.
Yeah, but it's a good thing we record these shows.
That's fair. I accept
it. Jay, jury disregard.
Overruled. Hey, go back to yours again, money.
Nah, I'm good. What's the next topic?
Right, on to the next. Hey, Dre, appreciate that question, bro. It's always good hearing from you.
Yeah, Dre. Hey, we fucks with you, having you know that.
This is getting ready to turn into recreational outrage.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, my narcissist is about to come all the way out.
I'm saying Dre threw y'all a layup. He threw you a curve, like a straight up fastball. Well, you get to choose your own attributes. And y'all went length and murder.
I did. I chose two of them. I chose length and murder.
Hey,
I got Jermaine O'Neal throwing half-court
Go
punches.
hey, right before you got to the end, Jay, of yours, it was like, wait. They try to take
right.
it back.
Yeah, that's right. Like, hold up now. Hold up.
Take
Hold
back.
up. That kid say he can shoot, though. I ain't know we was talking about shooting. Like, what? Yeah.
Right.
Kid
Like, I was
this player's
in my mind, I created a team player.
Hey, I forgot all about scoring.
Right.
Hey, it's all good, though.
Meanwhile, like, Pooh got KD with Dennis Rodman defense and Mike's, like, will to win, and I got Shaq dribbling like Kyrie and shooting like Ray Allen, and y'all got
man, we heard what the fuck y'all said, man. Let's
I got the Bruce Bowen foot for your shoe.
Right. You got a 7 foot tall Joe Dumars.
Hey, we hating on Joe Dumars.
Joe Dumars was good, though. What do you mean?
But y'all got Joe Dumars that can't shoot.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
No dribble.
You just got a 7 foot tall dude who can play D and like to win and got murdered. Like, he's essentially the best 2K player in the history of the world. And when I say 2K player, I mean the guy who's actually playing. He's playing the game, not the guy you.
I'm fairly certain that's what I created.
When I say 2K player, I don't mean the guy you created. I mean the guy who's actually playing and creating the best player. You got a guy who can't play, but he knows how to create a really good play. Like, y'all got it's a really good role player y'all created.
Hey, Dre, we appreciate you, bro. Always.
You the one.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
that's all.
Dre,
I fucked that question up for you, Dre, though, my bad.
But Dre, you always deliver.
Me, Dre.
Yeah. Dre always delivers. Shout out to Dre from Atlanta. Always, when he submits a question, it's always on point. This time may have been the funniest one. Usually it's very thought-provoking. This time it was just hilarious. But shout out to you, Pooh, for taking this question seriously. I don't know what, like, Jay and Money obviously don't respect Dre's gangster.
Wow. don't do it like that. Not with Dre. I always get excited when I hear from Dre.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Dre. But, if anybody wanted to answer a question, or if you want to address something on the show, or if you just disagree with something we say, shoot us an email at info@godefylife.com, or you can hit us up on social media at godefylife. We are going to jump into a commercial really quickly. And when we come back, we're going to talk some NFL, and then we're going to get into the trivia. We'll be right back.
There is very little that can be done with you. And that is the case with Stephen Curry. He don't need help. He don't need screens. He can create his own shot off the dribble.
Yeah.
This is Coach English of the Staley and English Show with Coach Kurtz. Me, along with my brothers, Coach Staley and Coach Kurtz, talk everything related to high school, college, and professional sports. It's the first show by coaches, for coaches, parents, and players. New episodes drop each Monday on GoDefyLife.com and everywhere your favorite podcasts are available.
Welcome to the Coach Staley, Coach English Show. Ghoulish gang. Coach put me in the game.
Welcome back to the Defy Life Podcast. It's J.R. Glymph. This is episode 116. With me is Thomas Stevens, Gerald Hedrick, West Coast J. Before we left for break, we just finished, two of us giving really good all-time basketball players. The other two just mailed it in, I guess. I would say. Pooh, what do you think? You think they actually tried?
I mean, it's just, I mean, because I went first. You know, all they had to do was follow the model. You know, I laid it out there for them, and they just jacked off.
Right? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah. So shout out to Benoit Benjamin and Ralph Sampson, the two guys that y'all created. Shout out to those guys.
To quote the great Red Fox, man, fuck y'all.
Oh man, but if y'all were to go there, we'll play 2-on-2. Me and Pooh's 2 guys against y'all's 2 guys, and we still wax you. So yeah. But on to the NFL. So the owners, with the collective bargaining agreement nearing an end, the owners are kind of posturing again, throwing out an 18-game season. Three different models have kind of come out. So there's a proposed 17-game season, an 18-game season, and an 18-game season with a 16-game player limit, which means every player would have to take 2 weeks off, which is fucking horrible. Pooh, you first. What are your thoughts on an 18-game season? Would you stick with a 16-game season? Is that enough for you? What are your thoughts around expanding the season?
I would definitely stick with the 16-game season. However, man, I can't say that the 18-game season is the worst thing in the world. But I would rather, if I'm giving the owners this, I would like them to, reciprocate that and give some type of reciprocity. I want them to try to bang out a 3-year contract. In the fourth year you have franchise, only one franchise opportunity. So that's 4 years a team can only hold you, because the lifespan of those guys are 4 or 5 years, and the lucky ones get 2 contracts. Right. One sort of big contract, and I think that'll sort of like even the playing field to only be able to obtain a player for 4 years. So I think if they give them that, then the players get this. So it's a little give and take. Right.
Yeah, they're going to definitely have to give up something if they agree to that. Jay, what do you think about the 18-game season in the NFL?
I mean, I'm good with an 18-game season, but only if there's only 2 preseason games. Okay. Like, I feel like the season's length is fine with 20 total games, counting the playoffs. Or, I'm sorry, counting the preseason, rather. A lot of it has to do with safety more so than anything else. People start getting nicked up, banged up right around week 10. Right. And so if they've got 8 more games as opposed to 6 more games, that sounds like that could end up way more catastrophic than anything else. It seems like people are they're gonna lose their stars. They're gonna lose the people that folks are tuning in to see. And then from a fantasy perspective, that's just way more irritating to have to deal with. Right. My dude might break in week 12. Mm-hmm. Now what?
Yeah. So, let me get your answer. What do you think about 18-game season?
I agree with both of my colleagues. I feel like if they go, I don't think they should make a change at all to the length of time that the season is. Either cut out, or maybe you cut out a preseason game, or 2, or you slap an extra weekend into the season, or maybe you give teams 2 bye weeks. But I definitely think there's some, collaboration that needs to happen with what the league expects from the players. And they should definitely give the players something. From a fan standpoint, of course, we all want to see more football. But yeah, some of these, some of these athletes are, all of them have hats off, all the respect in the world. And, player safety concerns, injury concerns, the more you're out there, the more you're going to get banged up and hurt. So as long as they can balance those 2 things, like I said, I think maybe cutting a preseason game off and giving an extra bye week, I think, could go a long way. But, before you give him 2 more games, let's see how we do with 1 more game. So maybe 17 an extra bye week. But, I'm against 18 for right now. But I would not be completely against 17 and some additional changes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm against expanding it at all. I think right now it's perfect all around. I'm even against taking away a preseason game, and for this reason. If you start taking away preseason games, all those undrafted players, 7th-round picks, all the guys who make their a name for themselves in the preseason are going to start missing their opportunity to make the team. So if you knock it down to 2 or 3, even 3 preseason games, you're going to have to give up something. Either your starters and your regular roster players are going to play less, or those guys, again, who go undrafted and make teams and become stars and Hall of Famers are not going to get a chance to play. And I think that's a travesty because if you take out those preseason games and those opportunities, you're missing the James Harrisons of the world and the Terrell Davises of the world. You're going to miss the Kurt Warners of you're going to miss those opportunities to have those guys make the team. And with that, again, like you guys said, you're putting your players at risk by continuing to expose their bodies as their bodies get weaker throughout the season, which also shortens careers. So I'm good with 16 games. I'm good with 4 preseason games. I get that most of it is about money. What I would change is franchises and owners charging same price for those preseason games as they do for regular season games, and including those same prices into season ticket sales. If you are acknowledging that preseason games are just really exhibitions, they should be at a lower rate. But as far as the length of the season, I wouldn't change anything. I don't know. But again, that's the draft nerd in me who wants to see those guys who, we know can play, but they just need an opportunity to get reps. I want to see those guys make teams too. So that's just me. So.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's all. I agree.
With that logic, then yes, I'm completely against an 18-game season.
Right. So, Jay, I know, of the 4 of us here, me and you are probably closest connected to this. But Pooh, back when it was just me, you, and Keon and Al, we talked about this, which further goes to reason is why it's so freaking frustrating now, because this guy keeps getting opportunities. And he's one of the more talented players we've seen in recent years, but he just can't stay on the field. Martavis Bryant has reapplied for reinstatement to the league after his 3rd suspension now. He'll probably get an opportunity. He's so talented. He's only 27. One of the 32 teams is going to give him a shot. But, Jay, he was lastly with the Raiders, so I want to ask you this. Do you think Martavis Bryant ever reaches his potential?
Unfortunately, no. I feel like that the world itself is too much of a temptation. So every time he looks like he's getting ready to do amazing things, it's like, look at him go. Look at him go. He was doing what? Ugh.
Yeah. And he lives in Vegas in the offseason. Like, for goodness sakes, dude, give yourself a chance.
Yeah. Everything's legal in Vegas.
Right. Pooh, money. Pooh, you first. Would you be okay with your team taking a flyer on Martavis at this point?
Well, I mean, trends or man, they're meant to be changed and definitely altered. So I wouldn't be totally against him. My team taking a chance out on him because definitely the deck is stacked against him, and when a supreme athlete, loses out on time, they definitely don't get better. I mean, we see it all the time with different athletes and Mike Tyson when you're spending the prime of your years away from your craft, you just don't get better. You know, however, there's always that 1, 2, 3, you know, anomalies that it can happen, and it will happen because it happens, you know, eventually. And if he gets the opportunity to defy the odds, defy life, I love for him to do it on my team. Period.
Right. Money, what say you? Would you be okay with the Panthers bringing him in?
I would be okay with it. You know, I don't. You know, I mean, we see guys get additional opportunities after all types of stuff, and like, to me, this is like a personal, you know, I guess, mental health type situation he's got going on. I don't mind giving the guy another shot. I mean, I'm a big believer in second chances, as long as he ain't out there, you know, killing nobody or anything crazy like that. But, you know, so I wouldn't be against us giving him a chance, because he may shock the world, and people can change. So, you know, I agree with West Coast. Like, sometimes if you just have too much shit to get into, and then you allow yourself to get into it, you know, I feel it's a few guys that need to kind of tighten up. I read the article today about the guy, Ezekiel Elliott. You know, I guess he didn't like his apology, so he said, well, in fact, he wants battery charges. So I think there's a few of these guys that need to understand that you're in a position. No, you don't owe anybody anything, but some shit they're just not going to tolerate from you. Some shit's just unacceptable, and you just have to conduct yourself like it. You know, you got the whole. You like Pooh said, that lifespan is short. You got the whole rest of your life to jack off and be a jerk to people out in public or whatever the case may be. But don't do it while you're in the league representing your team and your organization and your city and all. Like, just, you know, keep your nose clean, do the best you can, play ball, and, you know, everybody got a camera and everybody got their bank account hoping for you to bait you into something. So just don't give it to them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, this kind of bleeds into a different area for me, especially with Martavis Bryant, is the NFL should kind of rethink their rules on marijuana usage. As should the rest of the country. But
everybody needs to rethink their marijuana laws.
You're right. But like Money said, the rules are the rules at this point. So if you're not willing to stay within those lines, you do have to suffer the consequences. But again, like, he's not a troublemaker. He's not out like harming people. The dude just smokes weed and he has anxiety and depression. So that's a bigger issue than anything that happens on the field. I think the NFL kind of misses the mark a lot of times when it comes to mental health and depression and, you know, of course, brain trauma. And they're so punitive in their thinking that they forget to acknowledge the root of the issue. I wish all the best for Martavis Bryant. At one point, I thought he was, at one point he did have the potential to be the best receiver in the league. There were questions at one point of, who was the best receiver on the Steelers? Was it Antonio Brown or Martavis Bryant? And those were legit questions. If only, he could stay on the field. But again, and as Pooh mentioned, the more time you take off, you don't get better. And we saw that with the Raiders. And when he came back after his suspension with the Steelers, he wasn't the same player. So hopefully, again, at 27, chances are he's hit his athletic peak. He's probably past it at this point. But hopefully he can find somewhere to stick and at least become, get in the spot where he could maximize his career at this point. So we'll see.
No, more than anything, I hope he gets help for the depression and the anxiety.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, because that you compare that, or you add that to people running into you real fast.
Right.
And the additional brain trauma, like that leads to not good results.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see soon enough. He'll probably get a chance to be reinstated, and hopefully he's able to keep everything together and he gets the support that he needs. So, all right, Jay, you ready to hit us over the head with some trivia?
Yeah, I think I got something for you.
Shit. All right, let us know what we got.
You didn't get your questions from regular Scott, did you?
One of them is real Scottish.
Oh, boy.
I'll tell you that for sure. One of them is real Scottish. So, we got 3 categories for 3 contestants. So 3 categories, 1 through 5. Based on our original topics, one of the categories is Bond. James Bond.
Okay.
One of the categories is 3 Men in a Squad, free agency edition as of today.
Oh, okay.
And finally, best-selling video games.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I figure I might as well throw a curveball. Let's see. Who won last? Narcissist 2?
Most likely.
All right, so we're going to start with Jay. Money, you coming in second, then Pooh, you in there with the third one.
Because I don't even think Pooh scored last game.
No, I scored. I beat you.
Nah, okay.
I wasn't last. No, I beat Jay. I wasn't last.
If you beat Jay, that means you won.
West Coast.
Do what?
No, you beat me.
West Coast.
Oh, the West Coast Jay. Okay.
Yeah. When have you ever seen me be last, B?
Hilarious. All right, we going J Money Pooh. That's how we doing it. Hold on for a second so I can get a scoreboard in my mind. And all right,
Make sure you give me on my points this time.
Yeah.
I don't feel confident about these questions, y'all.
Yo, the questions,
I don't feel confident about these categories. No.
questions and categories could be anything. You already know.
Oh, man. All right. So let me be sure. So we got video games, 3 Men in the Squad, Bond. That was it, or was there a 4th?
No, it was just a 3.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
Bond, James Bond, 3 Men in a Squad, and best-selling video games.
All right. Let me get 3 Men in the Squad for 5.
3 Men in a Squad for 5. All right. I got Trevor Ariza, Dwayne Dedman, and Corey Joseph.
Those would be the Sacramento Kings.
Those are the Sacramento Kings. All right. Money, what you got?
3 Men in the Squad for 4.
All right. I have lost the page. I have Glenn Robinson III, Alec Burks, and Willie Cauley-Stein.
Oh, shit.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Didn't they all just
6,
sign with the Lake? With
5,
no. They all signed
4,
with
3, 2, 1.
the Lakers?
No, sir.
Those are all Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, Warriors. I knew it was one of them teams. I couldn't.
It was one of them teams. You're right.
It was one of them teams in the NBA.
Nah, I knew it was either the Lakers or the Warriors. I don't know, because I started to say Warriors, and then I was like, nah, I think it's the Lakers, but I can't remember.
I think I talked you out of it in my mind.
Oh,
True that.
Give it to me for the 3.
For the 3, we sticking with 3 men in the squad. I have Chuma Okeke, Markel Fultz, and Al-Farouq Aminu.
I know that one.
And they trade that kid to the Orlando Magic.
Those are the Orlando Magic.
I'll take that. I'll take the 3.
Those are Orlando Magics.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all better build y'all points up now, because I play video games.
Hey, didn't they get two first round picks in that deal too? No, with Markel Fultz.
I think it was just one.
Just one.
Because they traded a player too. I can't remember. Who they get? Nah, I can't remember. Can't remember the guy's name.
One of them basketball players.
One of them play who?
I probably traded for one of them whack dudes y'all built for Trey's question, but okay. I go with shit. Let me get some more points out of this. We're 3 men in the squad for 2.
All right. We got Malik Monk, P.J. Washington, and Miles Bridges.
Those are all Charlotte Hornets.
Those are Charlotte Hornets.
Faces of the franchise, baby.
This guy. Money, what you got?
Let me get 3 men for 2. I'm in for 1.
All right. We got Rui Hachimura, Moritz Wagner, and Isaiah Thomas.
Those are Washington Wizards.
Those are Washington Wizards. All right. 3 men in the squad, gone.
Now I'm about to dust y'all off.
Who? Either
What are we?
video games or Bond? James Bond.
Wow. About to enter a world of hurt for me. give me Bond, James Bond for 5.
This is the shortest tenured James Bond. This 007 was known for telling the story of an elderly Bond in his 007 film. Ted.
No clue.
That's actually probably a closer answer than everybody else would have got.
Mm-hmm.
This gentleman's name is David Niven. He starred in one 007 movie, and he was in his 50s when he did it.
Wow. What's the movie?
The name of the movie, give me just a second. It was obscure. It was one of those ones where I was like, "Who? That's the 5."
Right, and he's thinking back on his life.
He was. Let's see where you are. David Niven. Here we are. David Niven. He played because both Sean Connery and Peter Sellers turned down the role. He was 56, and his characteristics was that of an old elderly man who had won the Victoria Cross, had a daughter by his lover, who was Mata Hari, apparently the spy, and the movie was called Casino Royale.
Casino Royale.
Wow. Okay.
I did not know that was that. I did not know that was
the original Casino Royale.
That's what okay. That had to be another one.
Yeah. Okay. Daniel Craig, or the other one did. There was another one.
Okay. All
right. What's next? Jerry, it's on you.
Oh man, let's go video games for 3.
These are best-selling video games, and each one of these is worth double points if you can give me where in the top 20 it falls.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
All right. So, number 3. Famous for one of the most eclectic soundtracks in all of gaming. This game featured the Grove Street Block Boys and the voice talents of Samuel L. Jackson, Clifton Powell, and MC8.
Oh. Grand Theft Auto. What's the most? 5.
GTA 5 is incorrect. You were in the right franchise. It was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Right. I knew it was one of those 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Home of CJ. And if you would have gotten it, the double point would have been that it was number 13 on the list, moving 27.5 million units.
Oh, shit.
Hey, I'm impressed that you knew GTA though. I'm impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when she said soundtrack and Samuel, I knew it was one of those.
Right.
And MC8, yeah.
Gia.
All
All right, Money, where you at?
Which one was that for Jay? Which one was that he just
That was
asked for?
3.
Give me video games for 4.
Video games for 4. These 2 games were released as a duo, with each game home to specific pocket monsters. You had to have both to catch them all.
You had to have both to catch them all.
10, 9, 8.
Repeat the
7.
question.
These 2 games were released as a duo, with each game home to specific pocket monsters. You had to have both to catch them all. 6.
Yeah, you ain't gonna make
5,
it that easy. But
4.
I'm gonna just guess and say Pokemon.
I need you to be way more specific. There's 2 games.
Shit.
3, 2, 1. The complete answer was Pokemon Red and Blue. Came in at number 20 all time with 23.64 million units.
Wow, kid, seriously?
Red and Blue were the first 2.
Oh wow, true that.
Give me video games just to knock it off from anyone else. Give me video games for 5 to prevent anyone else from getting it.
Crucial. I like your technique.
That shit whack.
True.
Featuring the iconic theme song, Koro Beniki. This game is the best-selling game of all time.
Oh, shit, I know this one.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Halo.
What? No.
Halo is incorrect. Koro Beniki is a Russian folk song. Tetris is the best-selling game of all time. Selling 100 million units.
I totally forgot about Tetris.
On what system? What system is that?
The way that it was written, it is both number 1 and number 5. So number 1 is just the Electronic Arts Tetris game, but number 5 was the one specifically for the Game Boy.
Wow.
Oh, no. Okay.
But yeah, that ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Where we going, Jay?
Shit. What's the category I'm missing? What was the other one?
Bond. James Bond.
Fuck. Man, no. Let's go video games for 2.
Video games for 2. Big B Stats, a former guest on Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC podcast, is famous for playing which blockbusting video game?
Minecraft.
10. Minecraft is correct. Can you tell me where it falls on the top 20?
I know it's in the top. I go with 2.
Close. It's number 3.
I knew it was high.
Minecraft is number 3 all time with 70 million units.
Wow.
Money.
Let me go Bond for 3, man.
Bond. James Bond. This Bond is the second longest tenured James Bond, and he boasts the highest grossing Bond film of all time.
Sean Connery?
Sean Connery is incorrect.
Wow.
Daniel Craig and Skyfall are actually the highest grossing film. And he's also the second longest tenured Bond.
True that.
All right.
Whack ass topic.
Video games for one.
Video games for one.
Wait. That's what's left, right? Two's not left, right?
No, 2 is gone.
Oh yeah, one.
Video games for one. Blockbusting made this duo of plumbing brothers famous.
It's the Mario Brothers.
That is correct. Do you know where they are all time? Super Mario Brothers is the one I'm talking about.
Super Mario Brothers. Number 9 on the list.
Number 9 is incorrect. They are number 5 at 40.24 million units. Remember, it did come with the Nintendo Entertainment System.
It did. Hand in hand.
Well, there is your extra little point you snuck in there. So we're looking at, where we at? Jay. All we got left is Bond. James Bond.
Let me get whack-ass James for 3.
See, how's he whack-ass when he was the beginning topic earlier?
Man.
And number 3.
He wasn't the big
I'm
007.
I'm a contestant at this point. I just complain for no fucking reason.
Oh, fair enough. Number 3 was actually just taken. So we have 1, 2, and 4 left.
Let me go 4, so these dudes can't catch up with me.
All right. The third longest tenured Bond at 4,146 days is also known as Remington Steele.
Pierce Brosnan.
Lexington Steele.
Remington.
Man, money, man. Stay off them websites, man. Money, man.
Damn. Like just damn money. Damn.
Bro, I thought you said my bad. I thought you said Lexington Steele. Got excited.
Pierce Brosnan. It's correct.
Oh gosh.
I'm just playing, listeners. Relax.
This guy.
Oh god.
Money, it's your turn, man.
James Bond, baby, for the win.
James, which one? 1 or 2?
Oh, 2.
With 7 films, this 007 is only the 4th longest tenured James Bond with 3,049 days.
Shit, Sean Connery.
Sean Connery is correct.
Hey, I just figured, hey, that's the only James Bond answer I know. Might as well keep plugging them.
There you go.
I feel
I'm mad at your technique.
All right. Get it right eventually.
All right, Pooh, number for 1. This is the longest tenured James Bond for 5,118 days. And he was in 7 Bond films.
No clue, man. Sean Connery.
This one is Sir Roger Moore.
Sir Roger Moore.
Yeah, one of them Bond guys. One of them actors.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
So
That's the crazy part.
Roger Moore is an Amy Winehouse lyric. That's hilarious. But all right. So clearly we don't give a damn about 007 unless it's a black woman.
Nah, that's just Matt. Oh,
I got mine right.
He said I got mine, though. All right.
Oh, man.
Well, Jay with the runaway win. Pooh was in second. Money pulling up the rear on that one. This was a bad show.
For some of us. Well, shit. Jay, you hosted, man. What you got for me? What's your parting shot?
Well, I think I would like to give a shout out to Serena Williams for getting back to the finals. The Wimbledon final, and even though she didn't win, I kind of just don't like everybody hating on her for no good reason. That's still Serena Williams, damn it. Right. She was in the final. She beat everybody else.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what, that's what people do. We build them up so we can tear them down.
You know, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get my reading is fundamental out the way early, so money don't yell at me no more.
Right.
Right, man. That's not how we in the show.
Oh shit, buddy, what you got for me, man? Oh shit, my bad. Pooh, since you don't finish last and you didn't, I'm sorry. What you got for me? Sorry, man.
Appreciate that. Cause as soon as you said his name, I was like,
I knew I was about to hear. Yeah. I was like, shit, Pooh about to give it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, money. Carl Lewis, buck naked last. Like, damn. Getting no respect around here, man. Rodney Dangerfield in this bitch. But I just want to give shout out to my pop, man. His birthday coming up July 18th. Rest in peace, Pop. So, you know, I'll leave with that.
I'm gonna leave. No doubt. Money, what you got for me?
Yeah, man. You know, my shout out is to William Barr. You know, for being, you know, a fuck boy. You know, don't matter how old you are, you're still a fuck boy in my book. You know, I don't know. I really don't know how you sleep at night. That's all good though. You know, you won't be there long. And you know what I'm gonna say, man. Thank you to all the listeners. We definitely do this for y'all. We hope y'all enjoy everything that we're doing. You know, we can't do none of this without you. So we thank you for your support. You ain't rocking with Defy Life. What is your life about?
Damn right. Yeah, I ain't got nothing crazy. Again, same sentiments as Pooh. Happy birthday to your pops. Again, money. I agree with you. William Barr's a fuck boy. But I ain't got nothing crazy, man. Just we're gonna give a shout out to my kids. LaDainian just recorded. It's dropped another song. Y'all will be hearing that soon. It'll be posted on Defy Life. Also, to my youngest, Lincoln started football workouts Sunday. And originally it was supposed to be Thursday. It got rained out, so they rescheduled for Sunday. And I've been telling this kid all summer, like I gave him a workout regimen. Hey, man, get ready, because I know you've been playing flag, but this you playing tackle now. It's a whole different beast. So when the workouts come, you got to be ready. You know what I heard all summer? Yeah, Daddy, I got it. No problem. I got it. I said, all right, we're going to find out. And Pooh, guess what we found out?
He wasn't ready.
That kid wasn't ready.
He didn't have it. Yeah,
that kid didn't have it. For the first 30 minutes for workouts, coaches asking, hey, man, what's your name? Like, making these best player on the field. Like, could tell him shit. But then that lack of preparation, that lack of conditioning caught up with him. And, it's like 90, 95 degrees out there. And, the coaches looked out. They gave him plenty of water breaks and make sure they were good. But, yeah, like 45 minutes in, that kid started hurling. Coaches looked out for him, squirting him down with water, make sure he was good. He got back out there. 10 minutes later, I go to the car, come back, this kid on the bench. I said, hey, man, what you doing on the bench? That kid over there writhing in pain. My stomach hurt. I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, man, at least get up and watch your teammates practice. That kid,
right.
10 minutes later, he walk out there. 10 minutes later, the kid walk up the hill to me like, Dad, I got to go to the bathroom. Kid went in the bathroom. And 10 minutes after that, the coach is looking for him. Like they thought he had pulled a Steve Mundy. And them kids all like, say, hey, where'd Lincoln go? Lincoln? I don't know where Lincoln at. And I had to go get that kid out of the bathroom. Hey, man, going back out there, your coach is looking for you. They think you done quit.
Right.
Back out there just watched. So, yeah, shout out to Lincoln for, making it halfway through his first practice. And becoming, but most importantly, he woke up on Monday and said, hey, Daddy, I need you to put me through a workout. So
That's what's up.
I was off Monday, so him and LaDainian, I had them out there working out. I had LaDainian running laps while he sang his songs. I had to give him the whole I had to give him the whole, Chris Brown ain't sitting inside playing Fortnite right now. Juju Smith-Schuster ain't sitting inside playing Fortnite right now. He might be though. But
true.
if you want to take their spot one day, y'all need to be out here. So they got some work in and committed to getting better and preparing themselves. But like I told them, I can show you better than I can tell you. So I had to wait for their first day of practice so he can realize that this is a different animal. So, but shout out to them for accepting the challenge and recommitting and seeing where they lie short. So we'll see. So next workout is Thursday. We'll see how it goes. But I was out there killing them. I started to make them walk to Junior's cheesecake. Just to prove a point.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, man. But it's interesting to see your kids start. For one, obviously one's an athlete, one's a singer. So to see them kind of develop their own personalities and their likes and dislikes, and realizing as a parent, especially one who was an athlete, that sometimes you have to adjust your expectation, because of course you have sons. First thing we think about as dads is, man, what sport are they gonna like? To kind of have to navigate how to motivate them differently for different things, for their different interests. So it's interesting, but it's fun. So to see them kind of, get their own interest and develop their own path. So shout out to them for committing to what their dreams are. So, but that's all we got. But shout out to you three gentlemen, Pooh, Money, West Coast. Shout out to Al. Al had to clean gutters tonight, so he couldn't be here. So we will talk to y'all next week. It's been a great show. We'll talk to you next week. Until then, Defy Life.
Defy Life.
Defy Life.